We will open the planning board meeting for Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. This is being conducted in a hybrid manner pursuant to the general laws. We are recording and will be posting it online. If anybody is recording, that is fine. You just need to let us know. Is anyone in this extensive audience here recording? Okay. We can address people by name since there's only 2 people here. All right. So, 7 o'clock, town planners report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just a few things to update the board on. Let's see. I'll be sending out to board members an updated, I'm gonna call it a cistern policy that Chief Stefanowicz and his team have developed. There's some language in there that, if you will, make sure that the requirement applies not only to residential and commercial subdivisions, but also private development if it's in a location that is not adequately served by public water. Aside from that, my review really is boiling down to making sure that we have appropriate safeguards in place. That we're not just looking for input from departments and comments, but also that we have a defensible position on such a private development that maybe is only going through site plan review in a location that doesn't have adequate public water. Just making sure that we have the right triggers, that everybody understands that adequate fire safety must be provided with such projects. As direct as that policy is, that's just more of, I guess, a zoning review item of mine. But I'll be happy to share it with the team, and you're welcome to give me any feedback that you have. Let's see. Last week I met with Chief Stefanowicz, Rob Levesque, and Samuel Morton, excuse me. The gentleman who represented the interests of the Sodom Mountain Campground before the planning board, I think several times really over the past year or so. The last time that Sam and Rob were before us, they talked about the need for renovation and reconstruction of some of the existing infrastructure just to service the campground as it sits today. That was prior to May's annual town meeting and the changes to the non-conforming uses, structures, and lots bylaw. So at this time, there's an opportunity for them to approach the board for that change. So I keep in mind, the meeting with Chief Stefanowicz was more focused upon public safety needs for the full build-out scenario. Looking at really the big picture, where there's a sizable number of units proposed at really a distant and significantly upgrading location that requires what was supposed to be 2 points of access. So the big change on the sketch that we were seeing was that they had added a schematic access from the cell town location that's through Grandville. A lot of discussion had to do with what the response would look like, between communities, given an incident at the furthest locations from South Loomis Street. My only comments, I think, of Sid Dinkins coming out of that meeting was a certain awareness to the special permit finding for a theoretical expansion to a pre-existing non-conforming use. Within this whole idea, I think there's we'll call it the sensitivity towards change, and the applicant and his team, they'll have to do some work if they choose to move forward. The suggestion was to do it in one fell swoop, but in doing so, I recognize that there's a substantial addition to the campground capacity and intensification of usage out there. Just recognizing there may be some discussion to be had over that point. So the suggestion I threw out there was maybe consider these phasing. So what they need to accomplish this year, they can manage, and then be able to manage the larger development discussion separate from those immediate improvements.
I talked to the people on Granville side, all do you know?
Has there been contact with the landowner
Yeah.
and so on and so forth? It seemed that that was the case. That, if you will, that was because I think it was made clear through Chief Stefan's prior feedback that without some secondary access
Sure.
in just as durable a fashion as they'd be constructing to get up to that location, it was a non-starter. So it seems like they've advanced that discussion. They have well, at least a contemplated solution for it.
Steve Bill.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so I received message through the building department about an inquiry they got about 5 Crescent Circle. That's I think it's currently classified as a woodworking shop. It lies just outside of the business restricted district, the structure itself. The question was from a prospective buyer. What's it gonna take to get that to an automobile body repair shop? Our bylaws don't break down, I want to call it public garages into such a degree to divide between mechanical work and auto body work, except for when you get into our wellhead production district. This lies outside of it, so that matter notwithstanding, theoretically, you get there through the same paths about for existing non-conforming uses and trying to seek that special permit. My advice was that there's a certain intensification going from a woodworking shop to a automobile body shop. What I shared was that the option was there to ask the question, but I did not advise it would be. I didn't have confidence in success.
They would also need the zone change.
Unless there the opportunity for that pre-existing non-conforming, we'll just say that the planning board determined, oh, this is not a more intense. Otherwise,
I thought there was more to it on that bylaw. I mean, I'll go back. I thought there was more.
and to be fair, it gets even more problematic within the filling stations and public garages section of our zoning bylaw. It talks about certain separation distances. But the language it uses is to a residential zone within 500 feet, measure along the property frontage, and that Crescent Circle is all BR. So that particular segment of the zoning bylaw, just a little aside there, I guess, does nothing to protect that neighborhood. Nonetheless, you're right there amongst the, I guess, a couple of different paths to try to permit that, as dubious as it may seem. My advice was it wasn't going to be a fruitful effort. Aside from that, I will share that we continue to grind through a rather exhaustive request for information related to the special permit denial for 771 College Highway. And Samantha Brennan continues to do great work in assembling minutes. At this point in time, what she's doing, she's grabbing the meetings that are happening now, so she's part of the discussion. And is able to more easily translate that, and then in the off week, grabbing the work set minutes and things like that. So the burden's on my shoulders now to find a little space, do my review, pump it out to the board.
Have you talked to someone over at Bacon Wilson about whether, given the fact that all this is online, you actually have to. Yes.
I feel like that's the executive mindset, you know, that down here at the worker bee level, I would go to, do I really have to do this? It's a great question.
But I mean, to be fair, I don't know. That level of detail about the, freedom of information or state freedom of information stuff. Because that's what it is, right?
Are we making reference to that request?
Right.
That's
Or is it within, it's a state freedom of information, not within the lawsuit.
That's correct.
And I don't know if you have the opportunity, like in lawsuits, we can often say equally accessible to you as it is to me, so you can go and get it. We don't have to go get it. It's a public document, right? And it's available online or whatever. So
John likes that here.
I don't know if that similar idea applies when we have chosen to put everything online for a period of time for those minutes, that we can just say, for the minutes, go, watch the video if you want. But I mean, I just don't know if that, you may want to just run that by Mark and see if, unless you're already 90% of the way, and it's like, I might as well just finish it.
We're substantially, well along, but a great piece of information. I'm gonna ask regardless.
Yeah, and it may not, it may just, you have to treat those like freedom of information, you have to do it. I don't know the answer to it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's all I have to say about that.
7:05, public comment. Anybody have anything tonight? For the board that is not on the agenda? Okay. 7:10, continued public hearing, 662A, Howard Highway. Okay, so we have a request for, is that where it falls into? Yeah, all right, so. And with the at least representation that they are doing some stuff, and hopefully we'll have something new for us. So we will give that a shot for right now. So we we'll get it closer. So do I hear a motion to continue 662A College Highway public hearing to 7:10 PM on October 8th?
Dave Spina, so moved.
Dick Singer second.
Roll call vote by majority aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Singer, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
Okay. 7:15 PM. Public hearing, 250 College Highway, continue public hearing.
We still haven't received, agent feedback on the,
Okay,
from zone change.
so we have a request from the, on behalf of the applicant, from our Levesque Associates to continue the next meeting. So September 24th. Why don't we just put it on at 7:10 PM? I hear a motion.
Dave Spina, so moved.
Dick Singer second.
A roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
Dick Singer, aye.
Jessica Thornton, aye.
All right. Any reason why we can't jump to Joe Wall since he's here, or do we need to do?
No, let's have that discussion.
Okay. All right, so. Well, I can let you explain it, John, but my understanding from talking to you is that the request is to. Eliminate the residential part of the. Application.
That's correct. So this is, Dr. Walls' project over on College Highway 0772 and 774. The numeric addresses of parcels. Construction has begun in the form of earthworks. He recently renewed his conservation notice of intent, order of conditions to allow work to proceed within conservation jurisdiction. And we're going through the building permit review process. In the process of submitting the architecturals, it was observed that the what I think was intended to be so-called second floor residential units were no longer part of the picture. On the surface, that plays a little bit around with parking calculations. The original calculations were based off of retail space and professional office space. The building will be a salon and dentist studio. So my course quick analysis comes out, maybe the parking calculations go from, I think, 82 proposed, or rather required, and 84 proposed. And I come out around 86, if you will, in total. I don't think that's a blanket type of issue. But the reason why Dr. Walls is here this evening is because I'm at least want to engage the board as to whether or not the change of use to remove the residential component from this project constitutes a minor amendment, or if this is something that should be considered a public hearing. Not having a good thumb on the pulse of how much that weighed into the original application.
I mean, just speaking for myself and not anybody else, I mean, I would say. Under a lot of circumstances, if a project became smaller, wouldn't really have an issue with that, and it just would be dealt with on a final site plan, but, the issue for me on this one is that in my mind, the mixed use, which is sort of something I think I at least want to encourage, was in my mind a trade-off for, I think there's some warehousing or storage or something in the back, and so that to me was sort of like, okay, we get some mixed use, which is, it should be encouraged, and you get some housing there. And the trade-off is you can have this stuff in the back, so that was my thinking, so my inclination would not to treat it as a minor change in this particular case.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah, I'm thinking about master plan is that mixed use is a desirable thing for the town, we kind of encourage, and
Yeah, it just,
it's just worth, I think, having a broader discussion.
yeah, I mean, and it's not, doesn't mean that maybe there's a change to be made, then, things get smaller wholly, but to me, one was a trade-off for the other in my mind, so. It doesn't mean that you have to have mixed use there, but, you don't necessarily have the same project without mixed use. So, that's my inclination. Is there anything else you need to add to it?
No,
Yeah, Dr. Wallace, was there any questions that you have? I mean, and you're on mute, just so you know, that's where my head's at. If you have any questions about it or wanted to add anything.
I guess if you felt like there was a compromise, does that mean there'll be some concern regarding a new application in a consistent project to what was proposed minus the residential? Is that going to throw that into a more difficult place if you felt the residential was important in order for the rear steel buildings?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a large project, especially for where it is, and I think that the mixed use was a decent carrot to get that done, right? So if you didn't want to have the residential, I think we have to have discussions about, the size of the project and the warehousing or things like that. I mean, I think that's the trade-off. I don't know enough about where your head's at with one or the other, right? As far as how much you want to get rid of that residential and what, versus having that warehousing and where there's no compromise potential, but.
Another question, would it be possible, because I want to say on College Highway, there was a couple other buildings proposed at that time that was, want to say like maybe phase 2, that I thought was approved during that meeting as well. Would there be opportunity to have perhaps a mixed use requirement in one of those buildings instead of the current setup that I'm moving forward with, and kind of phase 1A, 1B being that front building area along with the 2 steels? We could shift the residential component requirement to those buildings or one of them.
I mean, that sounds like something that might work in your favor on a reapplication, but because it would change, I think, the setup significantly, and we would have to relook at it. And I would concur with the chair and vice chair that to remove the mixed use component from a special permit that grants a mixed use location would be more than just a minor change. But I could see how offering residential in another building would make the change more palatable for us, considering our, our directive on our master plan is to encourage mixed use, and that was it was something that very much, I think the board was all looking forward to, so.
Okay, so the only way to move forward would be to put the residential component back in.
Well, I mean, so right now, you have the permit for, what that says, right? So you have the ability to complete what's in that permit. If you wanted to change it and either move where the residential is or modify it in some way, some compromise there, you would have to come in for a request, an application for a modification of the special permit. It wouldn't change the fact that you still have the special permit and that's always your fallback of, you can fall back on what's existing in there.
Gotcha.
But you could come in and to request a modification of.
And is that a lesser difficult process? I think Mr. Goddard may have even spelled out some of the information needed and something perhaps that could be entertained at one of the near future meetings.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's that black line, it's that it's always less, but I think in most cases it is, right? Because you already have this existing plan that you can kind of, modify a little bit right there and present it. And so I think that you do still have to comply with the submission requirements, but I think you already have a lot of it there, and it's just a question of showing where the modifications are. So it usually is a lot less of a heavy lift.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And then what I would need. Yeah.
Dr. Walls, I'll just interject. So the discussion and the feedback from the planning board indicates that we are looking at going through a formal amendment process, which does require a public hearing. Okay, no, I didn't get anybody shaking no on that. So that the earliest we would be able to put that in for would be October 8th.
Okay.
So I apologize, I didn't go that far down the line, which is, it's basically the same process, but, I think that John deals with these more than I do, but I think the lift on getting the information in is less when you're doing a modification than it is when you originally did it, but you do have to go through the same process of the hearing and decision and things like that.
Sure. Is the decision usually made, would that be usually made on October 8th if we got that information into it? The necessary information into you guys in a timely fashion?
That's the thing about the public hearing is it depends on how it goes, right? And we have to do it all in public. And so, if it's a pretty straightforward modification and there's not people coming here and opposing it or putting in favor of it, I mean, it's not much discussion that needs on it, then we can probably wrap up the hearing on the 8th. We would then draft up a decision and vote on it at the next meeting. So it would be the 29th, I'm gonna go with.
Yeah.
So,
The laughter is because I made a typo on my schedule, Dr. Walls.
No worries.
So I think it would be, if it played out pretty simply, and it wasn't any need to get more information or revise things in a significant way, it could probably be done by the end of October.
Okay, but it does sound like without the mixed use, there'll probably be some difficulty with the idea of kind of keeping the plan as is in the back with the steel buildings, right? It seems to be the thought direction at the moment.
I mean, it's the mixed use was a pretty, decent enticement to sort of get the size of the project through, right? And so, because that is, as folks here have said, there's a lot of need for housing. There's a lot of encouragement for mixed use. It's what's in the master plan. And so it's been a bit of our focus, and having that opportunity was a pretty decent enticement. So doesn't mean that there's not a compromise there. It just means that you have to sort of acknowledge the fact that that was a carrot and getting it through, and then how you're gonna deal with that.
Okay. No, I appreciate you guys' time and information. Let me do some thinking and yeah, we'll decide what direction to go down in regards to submittal and or redirection with foundation design. There's just a few other factors that would get triggered if we increase square footage and things of that nature. They'll need to give some thought to, so.
Understood. I'll share a couple notes tomorrow, from my desk, Dr. Walls. That
Sounds-
would relate to the process if you choose to go down that road. Okay?
Sounds- Thank you all very much.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for everyone's feedback.
You wanna go to site plan review?
I want to, but I have no new information to share with the board.
Fantastic. You wanna go to sign permit review?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Why does he want to get rid of the units, you know, John?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Why is it they're not gonna want to get rid of the housing units?
I'm sure it comes down to, I'm sure there's a cost factor, associated with it. The building as it's, been submitted to the building department, that front building is still, handsome and sizable. I can appreciate. There's, we call it, there was a cost for it today to keep the project moving forward. I think I'm sticking in words, it's not that haven't been at least shared in my direction. Okay. Just 1 second. 160. Takes me longer to share this than it does with this guys. Okay, Lakewood Village wishes to replace their existing signage in roughly the same dimensions.
That's nice.
No flashing lights or?
Yes, as much as I would like to see, dancing marquee lights around it, maybe that's not the look that they're going for.
That's your choice.
Double sided.
Yes, two-sided.
Take a horse to water. All right. Do I hear a motion
That's teamwork.
for a positive recommendation for the sign permit, sign application at 160 Point Road.
Dave Spina, so moved.
That's in a second.
Roll call vote, Michael Doherty, aye.
Dave Spina, aye.
That's in a
Jessica Thornton, I.
Okay. Nothing else that we need to talk about on Starrett,
Not yet.
planning board member and staff comments.
We've already covered the October 26th is really October 29th.
Is that really the only?
That's the only thing
I think we should
Did anybody
bring
look
up
at it?
again.
Because,
We should
I
bring
mean,
it up again. And,
I'll be honest, I tried to make those
Yeah.
live, but they were late in the discussion. Maybe tops 80% confidence when I blocked that out.
No
I'm glad
problem.
everybody's thinking I'm close to that.
No problem, John.
Thanks.
All right, any
Very
other,
accommodating.
any other member or staff comments? Since you are the other person named David, you have the honor. of making the
Fantastic.
motion.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All those, second, is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Something's wrong. Oh, that's 7:30.
7:30, that's.
You're having something's not
It's
here.
all Sutton's fault.
He's not gonna believe it.
You don't think I'm texting him right now.